How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this video, and in this video I'm going to review a couple books. I'm going to break it up in two parts. I'm going to make a separate video, I think, for the other book, but I was working, painting some stuff, and all of a sudden I got this package with two new books, and I got the Codex Heretic Astartes Chaos Space Marines. This is the number 2. And I also got the Vigilus Ablaze campaign book. In short, these books don't have that much new on them. It's just a bunch of new miniatures and then new toys that you can use for the Chaos Space Marines. And this book is almost a reprint with just all of the updates of points, new characters, new facts and stuff like that, so that everything that has come new from other books, the big FAQ and the chapter approved from last year and everything like that, it's condensed into one book. This is not really a new codex, and I was a little bit disappointed to find out, because we thought that it was going to be, but no, we have new models and we have some updated points, a little bit more war gear, just a couple options, and we also have new rules on Vigilus Ablaze. If you're up to date with all of the updates that have been coming out for Chaos Space Marines and you don't really need the other book, you might want to only get this one, because most of the more newer miniatures are in here, except from the ones from IDICBeer. But if you bought IDICBeer, if you have that book too, you might be set. You don't really need to buy the Codex. But if you don't want to carry all that stuff and all those notes for the old Chaos Space Marine Codex, you can just bring this. But I'm going to open it and I'm going to review the new models and the new rules. And I'm not going to really go into detail on the previous stuff, because we already know it, right? And if you follow Chaos Space Marines. But yeah, I'm going to do that. And let's open it up and see what's new inside this book. So this is it. This is the book, and it's pretty much a carbon copy of the old one. If you have the old one and all of the other supplements, you may not want to get this one, but this one just has a number 2, and this is the old one. It's pretty much the same thing, and it's pretty much has the same things. It very little changed, only changed the things that are available on the new chapter approved, the new FAQs, and we have the updated point cost for the chapter approved book. We have the Demonkin units from IDICBeer. We have the Vigilus Ablaze miniatures that just recently came out, and the Vigilus Defiant, which I don't have. It also comes with Harken World Claimer. That's another character that comes in this new book. So if you're pretty new to Chaos Space Marines and you don't have any of these things, getting the book is a pretty good idea. But if you have the old book and you have all of these things and you keep tabs on what's going on with Chaos Space Marines, you may not need to get the new book, because it's pretty much the same thing all over again, just condensed into one book when it has everything and all of it. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Chaos overall. I'm excited that we get new stuff. That's pretty cool. But this is not a new codex. By all means, but by any means, this is not a new codex, and I'm kind of sad about that, because I was expecting to get maybe some point cost reductions, maybe some new units, some better ways to make some units viable, like making a completely Chaos Space Marine Marine power armor army. That I would really like to field a Black Legion army like that, and I'm still going to do it with mostly Havocs and the new Obliterators and stuff like that, but it's not the same as having an army that's mostly just the normal troop guys, because they're not as viable this edition. They're not as tough, they're not as special, they're not competitive. So this book pretty much has the same as the other one, so I'm not going to go through it all over again. This is just all of the content that comes in the other book just copied and pasted pretty much. I may be wrong about that. You can correct me in the comments below. But what we're interested in is on the rules, right? The new miniatures are amazing. We have this guy. This is the Legion Master of Execution down here. This one looks a little bit more like Age of Sigmar-ish, kind of. I still like him. He looks like one of those chaplains, but he's not a chaplain. He's more like a lord or champion for Khorne or something like that. And we have this guy this one's Obsidious Mallex from the Blackstone Fortress set, and he's carrying his Thunderhammer, and thanks to him we have Thunderhammers in this edition. We have the new Dark Apostle with his disciples. We have the Master of Possession with the Greater Possessed on his side. We have Harken World Claimer up here with his Raptors. We have the Lord Discordant, which is a pretty interesting new miniature. We have the new Venom Crawler, the new Havocs. We're going to have a new unit of Havocs soon. We have the Obliterators that came on Shadow Spear. The Chaos Space Marines, the Berserkers, they look kind of old still. I do like them though. Not all of the helmet options, but I do like the old miniatures, and I still own some of them. The Tillich Crown. This is very useful for all Psychers and to give an invulnerable save to some units. We have new Terminators. That's pretty cool. Demons stay the same. And I didn't go through Abaddon. This is the most important one, and it was in the beginning, and I just skipped over it. Starting the rules, Slaves of Darkness. We have pretty much the same abilities as we had. We have the Legion, the Mark of Chaos, Death to the False Emperor, which is giving you an extra attack whenever you hit on a 6 in close combat, against Imperium only though. The Demonic Ritual, the way you summon demons and stuff like that, it's still there. It's still the same. And in the war gear we have two more options, which is the Thunderhammer on the melee weapons. We have the Reaper Chain Cannon on the heavy options, which is one of the better ones that we got. This one is a heavy 8, and it's a 24 inches, is strength 5, AP -1. It's just like a heavy bolter, just a little bit more expensive and not that much expensive, and it has more than double the shots. I think it's a little bit broken. I hope people don't abuse it, because if it gets nerfed, I'm going to be very sad. So starting with the characters, we have Abaddon the Despoiler, which pretty much stayed the same. It only changed on the wounds and the strength of the character, and it also changed on the armor penetration on the Talon of Horus on close combat, which used to be 3, now it's 4. The stats are pretty much the same still. It's movement 6, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 8, attacks 6, leadership 10, a save of 2+, because he's a Terminator. And he has Death to the False Emperor. He has the War Master, which gives you 2 extra command points when you make him your Warlord. He has the Dark Destiny, which gives him a 4+ invulnerable save, and in addition, all damage that you cost to Abaddon is reduced by half, rounded up. High damage weapons are going to not be that effective against him. He's not gonna die as fast, but still. Lord of the Black Legion. Yeah, you can reroll hit rolls for friendly Black Legion units while they are within 6 inches of Abaddon the Despoiler. That's pretty good. We have the Mark of Chaos Ascendant. Any friendly Heretic Astartes around 12 inches of him, a reroll morale test. I mean, automatically pass. They don't reroll, sorry. And he can teleport into battle with his Terminator's bodyguard if you want. It's pretty much the same Abaddon that we had before. And I think he sounds like a pretty beefy, pretty tough guy and pretty nice guy to field, but he didn't change. I wanted him to get something new, something a little bit more exciting that would change the way the army works itself. Something more like in the realm of Gilliman, where he helps troops all around, even if they're not in range of him or something. But he doesn't do anything else other than that. We also have Harken World Claimer. This one came in the Vigilus Defiant book, I think. I don't own it, and I didn't go through those rules, so I'm going to go through the rules here. He is like a raptor, and like a lord at the same time. He moves 12 inches. Okay, Abaddon didn't change on points. He stayed the same points as before. I think it was 240. Harken World Claimer. He is movement 12, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 5, attacks 5, leadership 9, save of 3+. He comes with a Hell Spear and a Lightning Claw, and only one of these models you can field on the battlefield on your army. The thing that I don't like about him is he's only Black Legion. I would like him to field him as a small detachment of Night Lords. That would be cool, but he's only Black Legion. That's kind of sad. He has Death to the False Emperor. He has Lord of Raptures that he makes other Raptor units reroll when they're within 6 inches of him. He has a Sigil of Corruption of 4+, Herald of the Apocalypse. Enemy units within 18 inches of this model must subtract 1 from their leadership, which is stackable with what Raptors already do, so it would be on -2. That's pretty good. He has the Raptor Strike that he can deep strike pretty much, and he has Head Claimer, which is each time an enemy character is slain by an attack made by this model, add 1 to this model's attack characteristics. It's only characters though. I wish it would be something a little bit easier to do, like a unit or something, but no. His Hell Spear is at range 12, assault 1, strength +1, AP -3, damage D3. Could be useful. It's not that strong though. And he's carrying a Lightning Claw, which is pretty standard. Lightning Claw, AP -2, damage 1. If you could have 2 of them, then it would be +1 attack and reroll to wound, but he doesn't have the option to get another one, I think. It's not here. But whatever. So the Demon Prince stayed the same. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. We have the Master of Possession and the Sorcerer. We went through the Master of Possession through the Shadow Spear box when I did that review, and he's pretty much just a sorcerer with some added abilities. He's a Demon King. He has an invulnerable save, and he has a totally different discipline that only he can cast, but only he can cast, so that's pretty cool. If you want to know more about him, you can watch that video if you want. I'm going to go through the units that are new. The Lord Discordant is one of very interesting character / vehicles. It's a demon engine. It's a big model, and he's kind of complicated to paint. I think it's going to take a while for me to paint him. It's a big walker, and he has a movement on 12, which is pretty good. Weapon skill of 2, ballistic skill of 2, which is also pretty good. Strength 4, which is not that great. Toughness 6 is not that great for a big model or a demon engine. Wounds 12, which is okay. And 4 attacks, leadership 9, save of 2+. That one saves him for me. It makes him a little bit more viable because it's going to be tougher for small units to wound him. And he also has some abilities that are pretty cool. He comes with a single model armed with an autocannon, bolt pistol, impaler, chain glaive, mecha tendrils, frag grenades, and crack grenades. His Hellstalker is armed with bladed limbs and tail, and a technovirus injector. The technovirus injector is the one that makes obliterators and stuff like that, but this one I don't think it has any rules to make obliterators, which would be pretty cool, but no. He has a bunch of options that you can bring him. He has an autocannon, bale flamer, bolt pistol, impaler, chain glaive, mecha tendrils, frag grenades, crack grenades, magma cutter, bladed limbs. These are the attacks for the walker, and all of these are pretty cool. Bladed limbs are +3, -2, +3 strength, -2 AP, damage D3. And these are made after the Lord Discordant attacks. And it has a number of additional attacks equals to the table up here. The Technovirus Injector is especially good against vehicles and stuff like that. He has a strength +4, -4 AP, D3 damage. And whenever he successfully wounds, you cause 1d3 mortal wounds in addition to any normal damage, which is pretty good against vehicles. He has Death to the False Emperor, which we've seen before. Demonic, 5+ invulnerable save. Infernal Regeneration, which regenerates 1 lost wound at the start of your turn. The Aura of Discord, this one subtracts 1 to hit from enemy vehicles that attack view, and it adds +1 to the attack roll for friendly Legion Demon Engine units within 6 inches of him, which is pretty cool. If you surround him by Venom Crawlers or something like that, or maybe the Forge Fiend or Mauler Fiend, that would be pretty cool too. You don't want him to sit back, I think, with a Forge Fiend. You want him on the front lines hitting in close combat too. But maybe surrounded by Forge Fiends, Mauler Fiends, and Venom Crawlers and stuff like that. He has Spirit Thief, that each time this model destroys an enemy vehicle, he can cure or he can wound an enemy model. You can repair a friendly demon engine or release a beam of energy. If you choose to repair a friendly demon engine, pick a friendly demon engine model. That demon engine regains D3 lost wounds. If you choose to release a beam of energy, pick an enemy vehicle within 12 inches of this model and roll a d6. On a 2+, that vehicle suffers 2 d3 mortal wounds. And he comes at 150 points. I haven't been going over points that much. Harken World Claimer is pretty cheap as well. So Harken World Claimer is 150 points. I didn't mention that. He's kind of cheap. It's pretty good, I think. He's not great, but he's okay. The Lord Discordant is 150 points base plus all of the war gear. I don't know how much he will end up costing. I think it's going to be at around 200 points at minimum. But I think at that cost and what he does, he has a 2+ save and he buffs other units. I think he's going to be pretty good. And at least I'm going to bring one. He's not a named character, so you can bring a couple, maybe more. We also have the Master of Executions. This one has a base cost of 70. And he is like a pretty good close combat unit, like a champion or something like that. He has a movement 6, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 4, 5 attacks, leadership 9, save of 3+. He's a single model armed with an axe of dismemberment, bolt pistol, frag grenades, and crack grenades. I'm going to go over the axe of dismemberment. He's a melee weapon that gives you twice the strength, AP -3, D3 damage, and each time you make a wound roll of a 6 for this weapon, the target unit suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any other damage, which is like a sniper but for close combat, and pretty much like a decapitating strike. He has Death to the False Emperor, Trophy Taker, that once per fight phase you can re-roll 1 hit roll, wound roll, or damage roll for an attack made by this model that targets a character. Only against characters though, but it could help if you remember. It's going to help you take down characters a little bit easier. Warp-sided Butcher. After the enemy has completed all of their charge moves, this model can perform a heroic intervention. I always forget to do heroic interventions, but this one is after the enemy has completed their move. If it is within 3 inches of an enemy model or 6 inches of an enemy character, he can make a heroic intervention. If this model is within 6 inches of any enemy characters, it can move up to 6 inches when he performs a heroic intervention, and instead of a 3, and as long as it finishes this move within 1 inch of the nearest enemy character. So he has to move up to the character, and he can fight when he's not his turn. He can get closer to battle. The Dark Apostle is 100 points. Well, drastically he has changed in the abilities he can perform, but he didn't change that much on stats. He changed on the weapon that he's given. He has a movement of 6, weapon skill of 2, ballistic skill of 3, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 4, attacks 3, leadership 9, and a 3+ save. He has a bolt pistol. He has an accursed Crocius and frag grenades and crack grenades. You cannot change any of this. It doesn't give you any options for a combi weapon like it used to. And the accursed Crocius is not like the power model we used to have. It's not strength +2, it's just +1 and -1 AP. Damage 2 though, which will make a lot more damage than he used to do. And he became a little bit better in combat, and you'll see why. He has Death to the False Emperor, and he has a Sigil of Corruption. This model has a 4+ invulnerable save, and he is a Demagogue. Friendly Legion units within 6 inches of him uses his morale instead of their own, and it's going to help them pass their morale saves. And this model can chant prayers. This is a new ability new abilities such as the casting spells or casting psychic powers. This model can chant prayers. It knows the Dark Cemetery prayer and one of the prayers from the prayers to the Dark Gods. At the start of each battle round, you can pick one of the prayers this model knows and roll a d6 on a 3+. The prayer is heard. The prayer takes effect until the end of that battle round. This same prayer cannot be chanted more than once per battle round by any models in your army, whether it is heard or not. So if you fail it, you cannot attempt it with another Dark Apostle. And I think you can only do one per turn, but you know 2. And the Dark Cemetery one is the basic one, such as Smite or something like that. If this prayer is heard on a 3+, of course, you can reroll hit rolls in the fight phase for attacks made by friendly Legion units while they are within 6 inches of the priest. This could be pretty strong if you are surrounded by a big blob of something, maybe cultists or something like that. You're going to hit a little bit more reliably. And also there's some more chants or prayers that you can perform. We'll see them in a little bit. He also comes with Dark Disciples. If you're gonna be bring Dark Disciples, they're like 2 cultists, a little bit better than cultists because they have a 5+ invulnerable save, 5+ armor save. It's not an invulnerable save. You can bring 2, and they're only armed with close combat weapons. They can be protected if they're within 2 inches of the Dark Apostle. They don't die, and they give the Dark Apostle a +1 to cast his chants. So instead of being heard on a 3+, they're going to be heard on a 2+ if you have Dark Disciples. So I think they're going to be pretty much an auto include for me at least. So you want to bring them. I think they're pretty cheap. They're 5 points per model, and they don't come with any war gear, so it's an extra 10 points. Dark Apostle, I didn't pay that much attention to it before, but now I think it's a pretty good option for even close combat and to buff your other units. So these new units, as you can see, they have the ability to buff other things, and I think that's a good idea to make give the army overall a little bit more synergy. Even the Venom Crawler and stuff like that, and the new Possessed, they also have abilities like that. Chaos Space Marines, they stayed the same. The new sculpts are amazing, but we didn't get anything new. They're 13 points, which is fairly cheap, but they don't have anything that really shines. If you want close combat, you can bring Berserkers, which are pretty good and much better than them. Have higher strength and more attacks, and for I think 3 points more, and it's not that much. So why would you ever bring them with the close combat options? They shouldn't be your close combat unit, in my opinion. But I think I'm going to build at least a couple of them. I wouldn't bring more because it's not very competitive. And you're going to be sad and you're going to lose, but maybe you can make them work. I don't know, let me know. And cultists, there's something about cultists in this book that changed, and I didn't like it at all. If they haven't been nerfed enough, they also got a new rule, which is mere mortals. There's going to be further down the Codex that says that cultists don't benefit from army bonuses, from army legion traits. So that's bad because they don't get any of the extra attacks for being World Eaters. They don't get the cover for from being Alpha Legion or anything like that. So that's sad because I didn't like fielding them before because they're a lot and they're not Chaos Space Marines, and I want to field Chaos Space Marines. Now they are even worse. But don't get me wrong, I think they're still pretty good, even though they cost 5 points each now. A little bit more expensive, but I think they have their role. And they are your bubble wrap or your cannon fodder that is going to make your army a lot more reliable, a lot more resilient, even though they're a little bit overcosted and they don't get any extra abilities. The Terminators, I saw that the point cost for these are 26, and in the chapter approved they're 28, so they dropped 2 points, I think. They have pretty much the same options that they had before. But they have new sculpts that look pretty similar to the old ones, but they look cooler. They have better proportions. They look a little bit, I think they look a little bit taller and not as chubby and short. I think they look a little bit better, but it's minimum. The change on the sculpt is not that it's not that big of a change, I think, compared to the Chaos Space Marine models. We got the Greater Possessed, and we went over that on the previous Codex. In my opinion on them, they're like mini demon princes, and I would bring as many as I have if I want a close combat army, even if I'm not going to benefit from the +1 strength that they give to other Demon Legion models. They don't buff regular demons. They have to be Legion demons. So I was thinking about bringing Bloodletter bombs and stuff like that and buff them, but no, you can't do that unless they have the... there's a way to give them the Legion trait. I don't know if you can do that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, you can only buff like Possessed and other demon engines and maybe the Warp Talons or something like that. And would I bring Possessed? Maybe. 1 10-man size unit would be cool to field, but I'm not too keen on that. If anything, they have pretty good stats. Movement 7, weapon skill 2+, 3+, ballistic skill, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 5, attacks 5, leadership 8, 3+ save. They give +1 strength to other Demon Legion models. They are a Demon Legion model, so I think they got the strength 2, so they will be strength 6 instead of 5. 5+ invulnerable save. So if you hit with 5 attacks, strength 6, weapon skill 2+, and AP -2 D3 damage, that's almost as fighting with a Demon Prince with twin talons. It's not as many attacks, it's just, but you could give him more attacks if you make them World Eaters or something like that. But it's just it's like a mini Demon Prince that can't fly, but it's just as good. It's not that expensive too. It's like 70 points. Yeah, they're 70 points, so they're fairly cheap. I would bring at least the 2 that I got from the Shadow Spear box, even if they don't buff anyone else. I think I want them running up the table and just chopping stuff up. Maybe go besides my Demon Prince and have a little trifecta of a Demon Prince and 2 of them. They all running up the table with everything else, all of the Demon Engines and everything. Just charge everything into the enemy and see what happens. We have the new obliterators, and I'm not going to go through them. The only thing that changed is that in the Demon King Codex, they were like 113 points a model, which is a lot. And they were not viable to use on an army that is going to be point efficient. They dropped to 65 on this Codex because I think that was a typo or something, that they were 113 points for just 1 obliterator with 6 shots and only 24. Here they are 65 points, which is a lot more viable. Havocs are up here. They have the new war gear option of the Reaper Chain Cannon, which is heavy 8, and I already talked about that. Here I skipped over something very important, and that is that the Havocs have the stabilization talents, and this means that this unit can move and fire heavy weapons without suffering the penalty to their hit rolls. That, in my opinion, makes the Havocs a lot better because they can move and hold objectives and at the same time be fully effective with their weapons. This makes them a lot more attractive. And I think I'm going to field as many as I can, at least 2 units, maybe more. Paired with those obliterators, I would think the firepower capabilities of this army have really been enhanced. We have the Venom Crawlers that we saw on the Shadow Spear review as well. Next we have the Tillich Crown. This is an immovable kind of piece of terrain that has a movement of 0, weapon skill 0. Not 0, but non-existent. Ballistic skill of 4+, strength of nothing, toughness 8, 14 wounds, save of 3+. It has only 1 attack that is like a pistol d6. It has a range of 6. It's called Lashing Warp Energies. Lashing Warp Energies that attack enemy units that get too close. It's only pistol d6, strength 7, AP -2, D2, damage 2. Its abilities are that it has Malevolent Locus, Psychers attempting to manifest powers within 24 inches of this model. They suffer perils of the warp on any doubles, not just ones or sixes. Except Chaos Psychers, they don't. Are unaffected by this ability. It has a loathsome aura chaos. Units have a 5+ invulnerable save while they are wholly within 6 inches of this model. In addition, you can reroll psychic tests for Chaos Psychers while they are within 6 inches of this model. At the start of the second and third round, the range of both these auras abilities is increased by 3, and it becomes 9, then 12. And this is pretty good because it's going to cover a lot more of the table. It's going to be like an oval, because this is like a flat, and it's 12 inches all around. It's going to cover a large piece of the board, and it's only 100 points. If your enemy chooses to fire at it and destroy it, they're going to be wasting their firepower on this thing. There's only 100 points, and this thing is going to boost your army overall. Your units that don't have an invulnerable save, such as the Havocs and your Chaos Space Marines, that are going to be shooting. I think you can park them beside this thing, and your Psychers can hide behind them, and also have a better chance of casting their spells. It is immobile. It means that it can't move, and it is automatically hit whenever someone attacks it in close combat. And it blows up with a distance of d6 and a damage of d6 mortal wounds whenever you roll a 6 whenever it is destroyed. So I want one, at least one. This is pretty cool. I am definitely going to pre-order it, and I like it very much. So we're done with all of the units. We have the Forbidden Armory, and here the only 2 new things is the Thunder Hammer, which is like a Power Fist, only a little bit better. And we have the Reaper Chain Cannon that is somewhere over here. It's 24 inches, heavy 8, strength 5, AP -1, damage 1. That is a big game changer. That's very, very strong compared to Heavy Bolter, which is pretty much the same profile, but it's only heavy 3. This is heavy 8 and only 12 inches less range, which can be a big deal because range 24 is not that great on 40k, but it's pretty good, I think. And if you imagine you could bring 4 Havocs with Reaper Chain Cannons, that you can, and they're only 20 points each, which is can get expensive, but it's 32 shots, the 8 times 4, 32. And if you give them Mark of Slanesh, you can fire twice. That's 64 shots. And if they're near Abaddon or some lord, they can reroll once or reroll the whole thing, depending on the character. Or you can prescience them, or you can do other things that are going to make them better. They will mop up 30 units of boys like they're nothing, in my opinion. These are pretty strong. Strength 5, this means it's gonna wound on 3s most of the time. And yeah, they are a little bit broken, in my opinion. That's good, I think. I hope they don't get nerfed. The Thunder Hammer is a melee weapon with twice the strength of the character that wields it. Negative 3 AP and 3 damage, 3 outright. And you have a -1 when hitting with it, like it's an unwieldy, or it's a heavy weapon to move around, so you get a -1 to hit. But if you're a lord, you don't care that much because you hit on 2s anyways, and you re-roll, so that's fine. And that's it. The Lost and the Damned rules for your armies, they stayed the same. I've read them. I didn't find any difference other than this unit here. This rule here that means mere mortals. The Chaos Cultist units do not gain a Legion trait. And I thought that was like pretty sad. I'm going to give props to Games Workshop because all of the new units are pretty good. And that's smart of them because we're going to end up buying those models and using them on the battlefield because they're pretty good. And the new stratagems, they're pretty much the same. They're just updated for such things like the Tide of Traders. It can only be casted one or used once per battle. That's the one caveat that they have, but it's pretty much the same. All of them are pretty much the same. And we have the prayers to the Dark Gods for the Dark Apostles. And the Dark Heretic Discipline, which is the same as always. Malefic Discipline, we saw it on the Shadowspear review, and it's pretty good. And I think Warlord traits, Legion traits, Warlord traits are the same. Point costs are the same that we got on the FAQs and the new chapter approved. And I'm going to go over the prayers, and that's going to be it. The prayers are, you have the Mark of Chaos prayers, which are the ones that you know if you have any of the marks, and you just know them. And you can use the normal one, or you can use, you can choose one of these if you want to learn another one. It has 6 of them that you can generate randomly, or you can just choose them. We have the Benediction of Darkness. If this prayer is heard, pick one friendly Legion unit within 6 inches of this priest to strike one from hit rolls made for attacks with ranged weapons that target that unit. So if you want to really protect those Havocs or that unit that you really want to survive, you can use this prayer to protect them. You can have even a couple of Dark Apostles to do different things, and you have one to babysit a unit and one to attack and something like that. We have the Litany of Despair. If this prayer is heard, your opponent rolls 2d6, discarding the lowest result each time they take a morale test for a unit within 6 inches of the priest. That can be useful. Omen of Potency, that one's pretty good. If the prayer is heard, add 3 to this priest's attacks characteristic. In addition, if the prayer is heard, this priest's melee weapons have an armor penetration of -4. That can be pretty strong. Combined with maybe a Warlord trait from World Eaters and their extra attacks and stuff like that, it can become very, very strong in my opinion. And I think it's one that I'm going to use sometimes, because if the Dark Apostle is on his own and he has to fight in close combat, he's going to be a very viable option, and I think it's going to be pretty good. And I really didn't like the Dark Apostle before, but now I do. The rules really give it merit. The new sculpt is pretty cool. It's not resin anymore, so that's great. If this, we have the Warp Site Plea. If this prayer is heard, pick one friendly Legion unit within 6 inches of the priest. Add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks made with ranged weapons by models in that unit. That's cool. If you want to be a little bit more reliable shooting. Soul Terror Portent. If this prayer is heard, pick one friendly Legion unit within 6 inches of the priest. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by models in that unit. That really can help you with, I don't know, do you want to hit something that is high strength with maybe your tons of attacks with Khorne Berserkers? You can use this one, and it's going to be, instead of 5, it's going to be 4. It's going to be a little bit more viable, and you could destroy something very big with that, or something very tough, I don't know. And then we have Illusory Supplication. If this prayer is heard, friendly Legion models have a 5+ invulnerable save while they are within 6 inches of this priest. It's okay. 5+ invulnerable is not that reliable, but it can be a good sort of protection that can kind of help you, but it's not that reliable. If it was +1 to your save, including invulnerable saves, I would really like that one. But no, it's just a 5+ invulnerable save that most demon units already have. And I'm going to be fielding some demon engines and demon units anyway, so this is not going to help me a lot. And the Tillich Crown is going to also give me a 5+ invulnerable, so it's a little bit of redundant, so I don't see myself using that one. But if you don't have the crown and you mostly have a Havoc kind of army with units that don't have the invulnerable, that could be pretty good. And that's it. Overall, the book is the same, with some pretty juicy new toys. Am I happy with the new rules? Yes, I really like the new rules. I would have liked to see some changes that change the army overall, but I would like to see the Chaos Space Marine model troop to take a little bit more of the front seat of this army, and to really lead the battle and be something cool to field on your army, because right now it isn't that great. It's okay, but yeah, that's it. If you have any other opinions, if you think I'm wrong, just let me know. I really like Chaos. I play 40k, but I don't play that often, and it might be a little bit, I might be wrong on some of these things. But this is my opinion on this, and everyone has their own opinion. If you want to share your opinion, leave it in the comment section below. I'll be sure to read it. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. These are the new changes of this book. That is not really a new codex. I was hoping for a new codex with some new rules. I was hoping to make a Chaos Space Marine power armor heavy army with regular Marines, but they really didn't change that much. They're not that much better. I am a little bit disappointed because that means that we probably won't get an updated codex in a while. I'm hoping they bring up something new, like maybe Codex World Eaters or Corn Demonkin, because I was a big fan of that book. I really liked it, and I would like to see it back. But this is nothing new. If you're new to Chaos Space Marines, you might want to get this book because you're not up to date with all of the changes, and because you don't have the book. So this book is going to have all of the things that have changed and all of the new miniatures and all the new stuff. So you only need one book. But if you have the previous book and you're up to date with all of the changes, you really don't need to get it. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to make a separate video for the Vigilus Ablaze review, and I'm going to show you what's new on that book. There's going to be a bunch of new detachments and new extra rules that are going to be actually pretty juicy and pretty cool. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you on the next video if you're interested, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. You stayed. Great. Thank you very much for supporting my channel, and if you would like to become a patron, there is a link to my Patreon page in the description below. Your contributions help pay for my work and keeps the channel going. A single $1 a month is more than enough, and you can cancel at any time. If you can't, don't worry, you can support my channel by simply watching my videos and sharing them with your friends. Thank you for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.